أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر إلى الملأ من بني إسرائيل من بعد موسى إذ قالوا لنبي له ابعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله قال هل عسيتم إن كتب عليكم القتال ألا تقاتلوا قالوا وما لنا ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله وقد أخرجنا من ديارنا وأبنائنا فلما كتب عليهم القتال تولوا إلا قليلا منهم والله عليم بالظالمين. صدق الله العظيم. In previous verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the commandment of jihad, fighting in the way of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded His believing servants to fight in the way of Allah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the merits of spending in the way of Allah. Now in this present verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the story of the Jews who sought a king to be appointed over them. Actually, after the time of Musa alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam was a prophet to the children of Israel. After Musa alayhi salam, children of Israel were on the right way for a short time, for a period of time after Musa alayhi salam. Then they started committing sins, evil deeds. So when they started committed the evil that they committed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused their enemies to overwhelm them, and many fatalities, disasters fell among them as a consequence. Their enemies also captured a great number of them, and they took over large areas of their land. Earlier, anyone who would fight the Israelites would lose because they had the Torah and the Tabut. Because of the Torah and the Tabut, which they inherited generation after generation ever since the time of Musa alayhi salam. Yet the Israelites kept indulging in misguidance until some king took the Tabut from them during a battle. And that king also took possession of the Torah, and only a few of Israelites who memorized it remained. So the prophethood stopped among their various tribes, and only a pregnant woman remained of offspring of the Levi, in whom the prophethood still appeared, and her husband had been killed. So the Israelites kept her in a house so that Allah may give her a boy who would be their prophet. The woman also kept invoking Allah to grant her a boy. So Allah heard her pleas and gave her a boy, whom she called Shamuel, meaning Allah has heard my pleas. This was the meaning of this name, Shamuel. Shamwil. As that boy grew, Allah raised him to be a righteous person. When he reached the age of prophethood, Allah revealed to him and commanded him to call his people to Allah, towards Allah, and to his Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. So Shamuel called the children of Israel to Allah, and they asked him to appoint a king over them so that they could fight their enemies under his command, leadership. So in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states the story of the Jews, that Jews sought a king to be appointed over them, and then they would fight under the leadership of this king against the enemies. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that have you not seen, or did you not see a group from the children of Israel after Musa alayhi salam, when they said to a prophet of theirs that appoint for us a king so that we may fight in the way of Allah. But the prophet said to them that it is likely that if the fight, it is likely that it is likely that if the fighting was enjoined upon you, ordained for you, then you would not fight in the way of Allah. But they said that why not? Why should we not fight in the way of Allah while we have been driven from our homes and from our children? Meaning we should fight. But Allah says when the fighting was enjoined upon them, so they turned away, except a few of them. A few of them fought in the way of Allah, majority of them they turned away. So Allah says Allah is all aware of the unjust people. So actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this story in the Holy Quran to inform the believers that Jews did this, but you should not do this. You should fight in the way of Allah. The Jewish people, they showed cowardice, timidity, but O believer, you should fight in the way of Allah with bravery. So Allah will help you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states this story in this present verse. Alam tara ila al-mala'i min bani Israel min ba'di Musa. Did you not see a group from the children of Israel after Musa alayhi salam, meaning after the time of Musa alayhi salam, إِذْ قَالُوا لِلنَّبِيِّ اللَّهُ مُبْعَثْ لَنَا, when they said to a prophet of theirs, إِبْعَثْ لَنَا مَلِكًا نُقَاتِلْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, send us a king, or appoint for us a king, so that we may fight in the way of Allah. Qala, he said, meaning the prophet said, هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ إِن كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ أَلَّا تُقَاتِلُوا. Is it likely, meaning is it not likely, if fighting is enjoined upon you, that you would not fight? Qalu, they said, وَمَا لَنَا أَلَّا نُقَاتِلَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. What is the wrong with you? What is the wrong with us that we would not fight? وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا مِنْ دِيَارِنَا وَبْنَائِنَا, while we have been driven out, while we have been driven away from our homes and our children. فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالُ, but when fighting was enjoined upon them, تَوَلَّوْا, they turned away. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ, except a few of them. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ, and Allah is all aware of the unjust people. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alam tara ila al-mala'i, did you not see a group, ila al-mala'i, a group, min bani Israel, from the children of Israel, min ba'di Musa, after Musa alayhi salam, meaning after the time of Musa alayhi salam. إِذْ قَالُوا لِنَبِيٍّ لَهُمْ, when they say to a prophet of theirs, إِبْعَثْ لَنَا مَلِكًا نُقَاتِلْ, appoint for us a king, نُقَاتِلْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, so that we may fight in the way of Allah. قَالَ, he said, هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ إِن كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ أَلَّا تُقَاتِلُوا. Is it likely, is it not likely, if fighting is enjoined upon you, that you would not fight? Qalu, they said, وَمَا لَنَا أَلَّا نُقَاتِلَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. They said, what is wrong with us that we would not fight? وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا مِنْ دِيَارِنَا وَأَبْنَائِنَا, while we have been driven away from our homes and our sons. فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالُ, but when fighting was enjoined upon them, تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ, they turned away except a few of them. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ, and Allah is all aware of the unjust. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alam tara, have you not seen, ilal mala'i, to the group, min bani Israel, of the children of Israel, min of or from, bani Israel children, bani is children, Israel Israel, min ba'di after, Musa alayhi salam, after the time of Musa, إذ when qalu they said, linabiyyin, to a prophet, lahum of theirs, ib'ath, appoint, lana for us, or send, ib'ath meaning appoint or send, lana for us, malikan a king, nuqatil, so that we may fight, fi sabilillah, in the way of Allah, fi in sabil, way of Allah. Qala, he said, prophet said, hal asaytum, is it not likely, in kutiba alaykumul qitalu, if fighting was enjoined upon you, Allah tuqatilu, that you would not fight. Qalu, they said in reply, wa ma lana, what is wrong with us, or why should we not fight? Wa ma lana, what is wrong with us, Allah nuqatila fi sabilillah, that we would not fight in the way of Allah, or why should we not fight in the way of Allah? وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا, وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا, while we have been driven out, away, min diyarina, min from, diyarina, our homes. Diyar is the plural form of dar, homes. Wa abnaina, and our children. Abna, children, sons. Falamma, but when, kutiba, ordained or enjoined, alayhim, upon them, al-qitalu, fighting, tawallaw, they turned away, illa, except, qalilan, a few, minhum, of them. Wallahu, and Allah, alimun, all aware, bizalimin, of the unjust or of the wrongdoers. Again, alam tara, did you not see, or have you not seen, ilal mala'i, the group, ila, towards the group, al ila, to or towards, meaning, al mala, mean group, mim bani Israel, of the children of Israel, or from the children of Israel, mim ba'di, after Musa alayhi salam, idh, when, qalu, they said, linabiyyin, to a prophet, lahum, of theirs. So the prophet mentioned here is Samuel, it is the name. So they said, ib'ath, appoint, lana, for us, malikan, malik means a king, nuqatil, so that we may fight, fi sabilillah, in the way of Allah. Why they demanded from the prophet to appoint for them a king? Actually, this was the custom that time, that they would fight under the leadership of a king. That is why they demanded. Qala, he, prophet said, hal asaytum, is it likely, meaning it is not likely, in kutiba alaykumul qitalu, if fighting enjoined upon you, Allah tuqatilu, that you would not fight in the way of Allah. Qalu, they said, وَمَا لَنَا أَلَّا نُقَاتِلَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, وَمَا لَنَا, what is wrong with us? So they said, قَالَ هَلْ عَصَيْتُمْ, he said, is it not likely, In kutiba alaykumul qital, if fighting is ordained upon you that you would not fight. Qalu, they said, ma lana alla nuqatila fi sabilillah. What is wrong with us that we would not fight and we would not fight? وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا, while we have been driven away, min diyarina, from our homes, وَابْنَائِنَا, and our children. فَلَمَّا, but when, kutiba enjoined, alayhim, upon them, al-qitalu, fight, meaning fighting. When fighting was enjoined upon them, tawallaw, they turned, illa, except qalilan, a few minhum of them. Wallahu, and Allah, alimun, is all aware, alim, all aware, bizzalimin, of the wrongdoers, of the unjust people. Because some majority of them they turned away from this commandment, they did not fight, but those who were strong in faith and belief, they fought in the way of Allah. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises, admires those people who fought in the way of Allah, and Allah criticized those people who demanded first, then they turned away from this fighting. So this is the meaning of these words.